social media has allowed anybody with a phone, access to the internet, to be a reporter.
A lot of us agree that social media is our source for news, but when we ask ourselves how credible is it, we often question its credibility.
The project really evolved with my students being willing to open up and tell their stories. We didn't anticipate that.
Are you holding your story bracelet? Is the goal to keep it?
No.
It's adorable watching them put on their lab coats and their goggles to go into the science center, or to discover that you can create a pathway by connecting these two pieces. They're just so excited by everything they do.
Our goal was to show the kids that by doing a little bit themselves, they can make a bigger impact. So they're turning the power of me into the power of we.
Hello, welcome to Classroom Close-Up New Jersey. I'm your host, Sean Spiller. Imagine your drop of water. You'd be mostly clear, in a pleasing form. If you land on somebody, you'd just roll off. Probably wouldn't convince them to take any action. But if you join some other water drops, enough to fill an ocean, you can see where this is going. Individually, we are each one drop. Altogether, we can be a sea change. Today, our focus is on some educational programs that introduce students to the power of we. To begin, let's talk about the issues.
One Sunday a month, for 8 months, Frank Stebbins and 6 of his students board a train for Manhattan and head to the historic Roosevelt House at Hunter College. There they will gather with students from 10 other high schools to attend the Civics Unplugged Forum.
Civics Unplugged is a nonprofit organization that is bringing children from all walks of life together to engage in the topics of today.
When you guys go into the city, are you seeing where opinions are changing? Whether, your students are influencing others or others are influencing them? Are you seeing people with differing opinions get along?
It's really a great concept because even though we're so close on mileage-wise, to go talk to students who are in New York City and in a variety of different schools and backgrounds really has been an extremely valuable experience.
We take a topic and then we drive into a subtopic that's really, really important to the kids at that time. So we talked about voter rights, but the real topic we focused on was gerrymandering. We talked about the press, but the true topic that the kids completely can relate to is social media and the influence social media has had on the press.
Frank and his students saw the relevance of that topic and wanted to continue the discussion. So they invited Jeffrey Silverman back to their classroom to do just that.
When I was growing up, and I'm a little bit older than you guys, we had 3 networks. You had ABC, NBC, and CBS, and you had a number of papers, local papers and a few nationals.
The topic we talked about today was social media and its impact with journalism. And a lot of us agree that social media is our source for news, but when we ask ourselves how credible is it, we often question its credibility.
All of a sudden, social media has allowed anybody with a phone, access to the internet, to be a reporter.
Does it have bias? Do we have bias when we look at it? It's such an important issue in not only analyzing the role that media has on us, but also our role on social media ourselves. Is social media a reliable source for receiving the news? How would you rank that amongst your choices?
One of the reasons that I disagreed that social media is a reliable source, I said once you comment, view, or like a page that has a personal bias in it, you continue to see that page and those views in it. You don't see the other side. I don't have social media, so I never knew how big of a problem this was in our society. We also said quicker, but is it better? We are receiving the information very fast, but is it credible information? It's very interesting to find out why this is such a big problem.
Is there a worry that you may have at all that we all start coming together, just finding people we agree with, instead of maybe having, what some would argue, part of a democracy, being able to engage with someone who has a totally different opinion, and maybe understand why you're not totally wrong and maybe I'm not totally right, but if I can just go to you every time because we just agree and I've found you, is there a problem with that?
That also goes to our other point here where it creates disillusionment.
As a viewer, what are you looking for in the news? Our students present themselves in a way that makes me extremely proud. It gives me hope for civic involvement going forward.
First and foremost, I want something that's credible because I want to watch to see, what's actually happening, and I don't want fake news. You know what I mean? I want something that's actually accurate and representative of the time? And second, something particular, when I hear of a breaking story, the first thing I go to is Twitter.
Their level of knowledge blows me away every single time. And when they ask a question, it's like, holy cow, am I talking to a 35-year-old or am I talking to a 17 or 18-year-old? It was actually interesting to hear during your discussion that you turned to Twitter first for news.
On the popular page, how Twitter works, you see literal videos of people posting what's going on. So say if something happens, there's an incident, there will be people on the scene reporting with their cameras. Fox or CNN can't get there soon enough. It's all of us with our iPhones or getting right there.
To have students who are dedicated to giving up a weekend and a Sunday to prepare for this and to go and actively participate, and more importantly to be thinking about it in between sessions about what their role is in their communities and how they want to be involved. It's an extremely rewarding process.
Like, I truly think that that is the most important thing. I really, really like when I go there on Sundays, and I especially like because it's once a month. So when you are there, you really make sure that you're making the most of it. And it's super interesting because you're meeting with other high schools, and these kids are from the 5 boroughs, they're from different socioeconomic statuses, they're from different cultures, and it's really awesome to hear their perspectives that are sometimes very different from my own. And I think that allows me to challenge my own biases that I come with, and I leave with sometimes a very different perspective than when I started, and I think that's kind of the point.
Controversy is sometimes a good thing because it gets people talking and people disagree, and then you find different point of views. Sometimes I get a little bit frustrated that people aren't also open to other people's ideas, because if you want someone to hear you out, who are you to just be very close-minded and not listen to what someone else has to say about the topic? And I think that's the whole reason that we're there at Civics, to listen to everyone and just grow as a person and just become more civically engaged. So if you're not really open to that, then it kind of defeats the purpose.
The more young people are aware of social issues, the more opportunity they have to explore deeper, and the more power they have to be heard and to affect positive change. For many, the desire to make a difference can even lead to a career.
So we started talking about human services. I'm Laura Richards. I am a family and consumer science teacher. The class today was Careers with Children. It is an entry-level class, and our hope is that they stay with child development. We're going to look at all the jobs in human services related to working with children.
And to help her students decide if they would like to pursue a career working with children, Laura brings in guest speakers to discuss some options.
I want to introduce CASA to you as an organization.
CASA is an acronym for Court-Appointed Special Advocates.
I told you guys some stories about CASA children and the system, and when I was working with them and advocating for them, and I think I told you my eye twitched for the first 8 months because it got stressful. What a CASA does is advocate for the best interest of a child who has been removed from their home and placed in foster care.
I was just bringing Julie in to say, okay, here's CASA, here's what we do, and here's jobs related to CASA. But when I saw the children so engaged and mesmerized by her, I said, we have to run with this.
The kids really couldn't believe that someone would volunteer their time to keep showing up to help a child. So they were interested in it and didn't want to let it go, and Laura had a story that worked with her regarding a bracelet and forming a bond and making a connection.
The connection was needed for Laura and her son. He has Brown syndrome, a disorder that affects his vision. To ease his separation anxiety at preschool, Laura came up with the idea for each of them to wear colored bracelets based on how he was doing each day.
We were looking at bracelets one day, and I said to him, you know what, Nate? I'm going to buy 3 sets of these, blue, yellow, and green. And when we have a really bad morning, when you go to preschool and you are so scared, we're going to wear the yellow bracelet. So you know I'm with you even though I'm not standing next to you. And this little system that we had turned into this amazing communication tool, but not only for him. His teacher would see his bracelet and know what he needed.
So Laura shared this idea with her students and Julie, and together they came up with their own bracelet project for the CASAs and the foster children.
By making a anchor bracelet and a tether bracelet, so the anchor's for the CASA volunteer, the tether's for the child. They take small strips of paper and they write words to describe what a child in foster care might be going through, to be able to pass that on to their CASA volunteer to carry for them and to carry that weight.
And the child makes that when they're ready to write down their story, and they give it when they're ready.
What I thought was so fantastic was Laura. She took it and ran with it and let these students just explore their passions and do this project. And it really has become something wonderful that I know our CASA volunteers are going to be thrilled to use when they're working with these kids.
You only need to make one bead, and that one bead, all it has to say or show is how you got through.
But while making the bracelet kits for CASA, Laura's students began making their own bracelets to share their stories with someone who cares.
Where's the pen? I created mine, and I put everything that I felt and everything that I have had to carry around with me for years. I put it in the bracelet, and I wrapped it up, and I gave it to my best friend.
The one that I did, it talked about some personal things, like my dad recently recovered from cancer, and it's been a hard 6 months to a year.
I always kind of felt alone, and I feel like someone else having it and holding it and keeping it like to themselves and wearing it every day makes me feel like, wow, like they actually care, and like I'm not going through this by myself.
My dad actually passed away 3 years ago. So as soon as I got handed that paper, like I just started writing, and I was like, wow, like this is definitely making me feel better because I was just able to lay everything out on a piece of paper.
The project really evolved with my students being willing to open up and tell their stories. We didn't anticipate that. Your story is gonna give you purpose.
As I was writing down my problems, like I realized that my problems are kind of petty compared to other people out there in the world that have way bigger problems.
Mosh Podge with a paintbrush?
No, I already Mosh Podge. I think like a big reason why this class is important for me is like I'm transgender, and knowing like I don't want to end up really like getting pregnant because the thought of it doesn't really make me comfortable. And like I do want to have kids though, and I feel like going in with something with children is like a way of me really getting that. I think I'm gonna give mine to actually Miss Richards because she's been a very great teacher and honestly like a great source of support for me, and I trust her enough to give her my anchor bracelet.
The students at Roxbury High School and Laura as their teacher took a semester and turned it into human kindness. And it's amazing. And kids wanting to help kids.
The beads were this beautiful symbol that we can look very content and beautiful and shiny on the outside, right? But inside we're all holding a story. And you find that your light lights another light, lights another light, lights another light. It's not dark anymore. And I think the kids, they got that.
In a moment, we'll show you how science and math are bringing families together. Don't go away.
My big wow moments are when, I introduced something that I thought would be maybe like a touchy subject, maybe would be, hard for them to handle, like STEM activities, for example, integrating the science and the math and the technology. It's a lot to take on as one kid at one moment, but they work together to build structures and to test them out. And my wow moments were when we were having these higher order thinking conversations and they were, critiquing and analyzing and communicating. So that was my poof aha moment walking outside of my classroom, and it's just great.
You're watching Classroom Close-Up Science!
Preschoolers at Montague are exploring the art of dance with their parents, but they're also exploring science, technology, engineering, and math through the STEAM-focused Cubs Discovery program.
Preschool was STEAM before STEAM existed. They're the true founders, I believe, of it, because everything is discovery-based. It's hands-on, it's learning from our mistakes. We provide them with opportunities to learn what happens when the seed is planted in the dirt, or what happens when the water is not added, or when the water is added, and to actually experience it, act it out, where they're able to truly dramatize what they've learned in the science piece.
We can plant seeds right in the top. Can I feel?
The Cubs Discovery Program was funded through a grant from the HIP Foundation.
Montague didn't have a preschool before we started with Cubs Club. And now in our second year, it's really truly a heart of Montague.
We need water, sunlight, and we need the dirt.
The grant has allowed us to buy STEAM materials. It provided for our class trips. We started the year with going to the pumpkin patch, but we're going to end the year going to a zoo, and all of that was paid for through the grant. We would not be able to have these special activities if it had not been for the HIP Foundation.
Mr. G, our buddy, brought us something special to use to grow more seeds in our classroom.
Each week we have a letter person visit us, and this week we have Mr. G. So we've been talking about growing, how plants and flowers grow. So he brought for the class greenhouses. So we're going to be planting seeds in peat pots. There's a lot of investigation going on over there. There are root gardens that the kids planted, and they're watching and tracking the growth of their onions, radishes, beets, scallions that they planted. So they've been tracking them, taking a picture each day and observing what's going on. They have magnets to explore with, some gardening, a variety of gardening tools that they can, pretend to plant a garden.
Savannah, you've been doing a really good job on this. How long have you been doing it? 3 inches. No, that's not a year out.
It's adorable watching them put on their lab coats and their goggles to go into the science center, or to discover that you can create a pathway by connecting these 2 pieces, or how to design or redesign a roadway. And they're willing to try, and they're just so excited by everything they do.
A key component of the Cubs Discovery Program is parent involvement.
Doing the Cubs Discovery every month, I go to school with her and we have our own little bonding time, and then we do things together. And then she has her own time. It's preschool to where I'm not there, but she's learned so much from this program the last 2 years, and I really do think she's ready for kindergarten because of this program and the teachers that they have.
The program has definitely brought things home to us, and I think it's really important to have school and family time together, and to put those 2 together with this program, it's really great.
What's awesome about this program is that it really welcomes the parents in, and it just brings them in to become part of the classroom and the school community, and it gets them to bond with each other, which is really nice, because then moving forward through the years, you just have this group of parents who have each other as a support network, and just builds a tighter school community.
1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're going to move to the right, but as we do it, we're going to turn our body so our facing is changing 360 degrees. The dance program is the kinesthetic learning aspect of it, where we apply learning through movement and use the concepts that they're working on in the classroom and just develop it through movement so they can make a better connection to the learning process and then hopefully store it better. Recently, in the last 2 weeks, they were working on animal concepts. So our dance program was based on animal movement and how we integrate that into our bodies and move in your daily life, actually like the animals do, when we jump, when we skip, those types of things. Now they're working on plants. So the concept we're going to start today is about contracting and releasing and stretching, which in plants, how they start small and then they stretch up and grow big, and then how when plants die, they kind of wither back down and contract back down into the ground. Because they're so boisterous and they want to move all the time, it's a lot more fun for them, I think, to be able to move and explore movement and learn the concept as well.
And these little guys turned into this. Preschool is phenomenal because everything to them is the biggest miracle. They're just thrilled with every new thing that they can touch and explore and see. It's just all so wondrous to them.
I love the enthusiasm of preschoolers. They're excited about everything. Everything that they do just lightens your day. They come in with that smile and they want to learn, and they get so excited about everything that we do. Every new activity is so new to them and so exciting. It makes teaching wonderful. If we have the flower, we need the stem. Do we have a stem?
Don't go away. You're watching Classroom Close-Up. Yay!
Who doesn't love soup? Right, nobody. It's beloved worldwide, and that's great because this is a story that begins and ends with soup. The story is timeless, really, but it happens to be the age of memes, so here are some soup memes. Now, unlike most memes, there are deep levels of meaning in soup, especially homemade soup. On the surface, soup is delicious. It's healthy because it's easily digestible, usually filled with veggies, packed with nutrients. You've got plenty of low-calorie choices, and there's that whole chicken soup medicinal thing. So if you're looking to do something really nice for people, serve them soup.
It's delicious. Everything here is so great.
Super Supper for Seniors is what we call it. And it's SOUP-ER, Super Supper. You're going to go out and you're going to sign up on the list.
That's Melissa DiClemente, health and phys ed teacher, who, along with reading specialist Allison Pallett, run the Unity Club, which sponsors the annual Super Supper for Seniors, where local senior citizens are invited to come to Cinnaminson Middle School for a hot bowl of soup and more, served by students and staff.
We have faculty that make soups. They bring desserts, they buy bread, salads. We also have parent donations. The students will make some in their classrooms. Our life skills classroom, they're making soup today. Our cooking class is making soup. So the whole school has been smelling like soup for a couple days here. So they're excited to see their products get served to the seniors tonight. And when they get here, as admission, they have to bring 2 canned goods that our club will then in turn take to the Bread of Life food pantry and also the Food Bank of South Jersey.
We wanted to actually show the kids where these things were going, and we would take a busload of kids and take our canned goods and take our boxes of cereal, and we would go to the food bank, and we would work at the food bank and volunteer, and we would pack up our own cereal, and they would be able to see our stuff that we collected and where it's going and the difference that it made in the community. I love when the kids interact with the senior citizens and they can feel the love and they can feel how important it is for the senior citizens to come. It's just really important to teach kids kindness and unity because they'll grow up to be better individuals and adults.
Tonight was really nice because the students came out with umbrellas to walk us in that we didn't get wet. That was really above and beyond. That was really nice.
Through this soup dinner and a food bank maybe a week ago, I realized that I actually was changing the community and affecting it a lot in a positive way.
This will be my 2nd year going into Unity Club. It shows who we are as a school and what we do for our community and for other people.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us for our annual Super Supper.
For the past 10 years, our Unity Club is really focused on the ideals of patriotism and service and character. So they came up with 10 values, and those values were integrity, responsibility, respect, kindness, friendship, equality, tolerance, unity, pride, and trust. And we were very blessed last year that our school was selected to be both a New Jersey and a national school of character as a result of the efforts that so many of our staff have committed themselves to, and it's something that we're really, really proud of at our school.
It's involvement of staff members, and we also have staff members that used to work in this building that have come back to volunteer to continue to work here because they understand the importance of what this teaches our students.
Every year we make shirts with the theme.
And this year, our goal was to show the kids that by doing a little bit themselves, they can make a bigger impact. So they're turning the power of me into the power of we. The food collections and our involvement with the Food Bank of South Jersey is just a small part of what we do for Unity Club. And we will go on field trips based on what our theme is. In past years, we've been to Arlington National Cemetery, where the students have been involved in the wreath laying at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. We have gone to the Statue of Liberty last year.
We've gone to the White House. We've gone to the Holocaust Museum, and the kids are kinder when they're in Unity Club. I think that the club has grown physically and mentally and emotionally.
In all of our classrooms, we have a quote, and it reads like this: Tell me and I'll forget. Show me and I may remember. Involve me and I'll understand. And that really is what we're trying to do here as part of Unity Club and as a whole school at Cinnaminson Middle School.
We continue to learn about the effects of kindness.
There's been so many times since I've been here at Cinnaminson where the community has had to come together in crisis, in celebration, just everybody working together. And I believe that this town is the best at that. That is what they do the best here. And the involvement that we get from the parents, the students, the schools, it's just amazing.
Remember that quote, the one that motivates the entire school. Tell me and I'll forget. Show me and I may remember. Involve me and I'll understand. Often it's attributed to Ben Franklin, but evidence shows it dates back at least 2,000 years before Mr. Franklin. So if he ever really said it, he wasn't the first, and he won't be the last. People have been noticing the connection between learning and doing for a long time. We've seen how it works over and over again. Just explore the video library on our website to find lots of other examples. Next time, an art program is empowering girls around the world. That and more inspiring stories happening in our great public schools. Until then, for Classroom Close-Up New Jersey, I'm Sean Spiller. See you soon.